This is Uncharted, a series of candid conversations about facing uncertainty. When we are called upon to be courageous, the strength of our leadership is tested. Red Direction has developed the Fast Track Your Business program to help you stay aligned to your business's true north. Jess Dewell is your guide. Jess brings you a 20-year track record of business excellence where strategy and operations overlap. Your path comes from consistently working from this special place, your unique true north. Now, here's Jess.
Everybody, welcome. Welcome to this Uncharted, this bold business podcast program. And you want to know something? These are the conversations that you have said, we want to make sure we hear, Jessica. We want to make sure we learn from people and their challenges and being able to talk candidly about what's going on and why we're doing the things that we're doing. And today I have E.A. from Givers University with me. E.A., tell us about yourself.
Well, I actually hail from Chicago. First 30 years, I lived in the greater Chicagoland area, the Oak Brook area. And as a result, you know Oak Brook area? Right? And so I lived there for 30 years and then subsequently moved to Michigan. But my background was very humble as the son of a milkman. And back then, they actually had outside the houses a box. And Jess, you need a bigger cup of coffee. Anyway, so I wanted to anyway, I just wanted to say, so need a cup of Joe. All right. So and outside the houses, they had these big boxes that you put the milk in. And you know what was funny back then, Jessica? The money was in there. Everyone knew that was the money for the milkman. No one touched it. Milk came in gallon jugs back then. And my father was one of those guys that delivered them. So, at the ripe old age of 5 years old, I would, go do the route with them and try not to break too many gallon jugs. And then from there, I reached my first big jump up into success and became a janitor. That was my first big. Now, yeah. I didn't mind doing that because business was always picking up. What? Anyway.
Okay. If nothing else, everybody, you're going to, not only I shouldn't say if nothing else, you're going to walk away laughing from this. And this is one of the things I love about EA. And I will tell you, so the laughter will make us remember the lessons more.
Appreciate that. Hopefully I'll keep the punishment to a minimum. So
Don't stop.
So here I was as janitor, and if you're familiar with the Oak Brook area, you really appreciate this story. I was able at 16 years old to be bonded, and that allowed me to be insured, and I could go in expensive places at 16. And one of the homes I cleaned was of a lady, and her name is June Martino. And have you seen the movie, or if any of your listeners, they saw the movie called The Founder with Michael Keaton about the McDonald's story? Okay. Yeah. Ray, of course, that's very Hollywoodized, that's for sure, and drama and everything else, even though there are certain events that certainly did happen. But Ray in the movie is constantly talking to this lady outside his office named June. That's her. That's the lady whose house I cleaned.
Wow.
June Martino. She had the third most controlling stock at McDonald's. So one day, Jess, here I am, little snot-nosed 16 years old, cleaning her house. She had maids and butlers, but every Wednesday I had to be there, right? And I'm buffing her floors. And she was, one of the things that impressed me was she was nice. She was approachable. She was never condescending. In fact, just the opposite, as a matter of fact, and always really nice. How are you? So I was in every week. She knew who I was. I knew who she was. And one day she was in an extra good mood. And I thought, Jess, this is my chance. I'm going to go up and I'm going to ask her. So I mustered up all the courage that a snot-nosed 16-year-old can get. And I went up to her and I said, June, could I ask you a question? And she said, sure. And I said, could you tell me about it? And she said, well, what? And I said, well, the whole McDonald's thing. I'm not kidding, Jess. She literally put her arm around me, took me in the kitchen and told me the entire story from the beginning all the way through to the second we were sitting in her kitchen. She even had the maids and butlers bringing in food so that we could eat in the kitchen while she wouldn't stop telling me the story. So in the movie, if you remember, there's a part where June goes to Michael Keaton, Ray Kroc, and says, we don't have any money. We're losing money. We're losing money fast. And that prompts him to call the brothers and complain he's not getting a big enough percentage. That part is true. She told me about that part. And obviously this is a couple decades before the movie came out. And so she told me about that part. And she said, Ray couldn't afford to pay her. So he paid her in stock in a worthless company, literally worthless, didn't pay her any money, and agreed to take all the bill collector phone calls so she wouldn't get done when bill collectors called her for money. And I said, June, I got to ask you. I said, I'm a janitor. I live paycheck to paycheck every Friday. I get paid. And if I don't get paid on Friday, I'm not showing on Saturday. I'm not there. And I said, why'd you do it? And Jess, I could tell you, she sat back in her chair and stared right at me. And I could tell I had just asked her a question no one had ever asked her before. And she's staring at me, but I could tell she's not home anymore. She's actually thinking about this question. And it was one of those things where someone's staring right at you and I'm going, okay, now where do I look? One of those things. And she finally, and what she said, I still remember it because it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. The way she said it. When I said, June, why did you do it? Why'd you get this worthless stock and not get paid and stay there? And she said, because I believed in Ray. And the way she said it, and I remember, Jess, my very first thought after was, I need to find a Ray Kroc. I need me a Ray Kroc. I need to, because I want to do it. I'm a burnt out son of a milkman and a janitor. Aren't you glad I said milkman? So
I loved it. I saw you. You were thinking
this 4 kids. My mind went there for a split second, but I caught it just in time, which really doesn't happen anyway. So I thought I need to find me a Ray Kroc, someone that can teach me, someone that can mentor me, because I want to do it, but I don't know how. And I don't know what to do. My fun time is getting free songs on a jukebox at 2 a.m. when I'm cleaning a bowling alley.
Right.
So it wasn't 2 or 3 months later, I met my business mentor and he became my Ray Kroc. He actually became the father I never had, even though I had a father, and I became the son he never had, even though he had a son. And I share first with your listeners, get a mentor. And if you don't have one, you're really missing out on the importance of having someone, but be discerning on who that mentor is. Make sure, that there are certain things that you have discerned to make sure they're the right person. And I met my business mentor, and I have to tell you, Jess, I was very, very blessed with being able to ask him all the questions I wanted. And that led about actually to the very, very first seeds of Givers University, because here was the deal. He said, I will teach you everything. Because I said, teach me everything, whatever. I'm just, he was rich and happy. And that's what I wanted, not knowing I had it backwards. See, we're supposed to be happy first and then rich. But I wanted to be rich first and then, whatever happy. Right?
Well, you know what? That's interesting. And we're going to get more into that because I think that's a common thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And I had it backwards. I didn't realize it should be, they always say, you go to school, get an education, get married, and live happily ever after. We should be living happily ever after first. Yes. And everyone always throws it on like it's a tagline at the end, Anyway, so here I am. I meet this guy, and he makes a deal with me, and he says, "Okay, I'll teach you. I'll teach you everything. Hold back nothing. But I want one thing." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "When the time is right, and you will know the time, I want you to teach everything what I taught you."
Yeah.
And I made a vow and a commitment and an oath at the ripe old age of 19 years old. And I'm 65 today. Not today, literally, but this year. And I am currently past that. So I've actually had the 41st birthday of my 41st anniversary of my 21st birthday.
I love it. That's great. So I love this because at 19 years old, you found something to believe in. That, for sure. And now, was the belief in you wanted to just learn from somebody, or was the belief in you knew you needed knowledge? That was the part I'm like, well, let's break that down a little bit more, because it sounds great in that story. And I'm like, well, so I can repeat your story, but it wouldn't be as cool as what people are going to hear when they hear it from your own lips. And knowing that this person, your first mentor, was willing to teach you everything he learned, knowing that sometime in the future, you'd be giving it forward and teaching somebody else. What was the thing Was he teaching you the things that you have put into Givers University?
Well, when he said, I want one thing from you, I want to let you know, I was going to say yes, no matter what came out of his mouth next. And
Okay.
because I knew, I could tell because the way I met him in the circumstance, I knew he had what I wanted. He was happy and he was successful. And I could tell that was the case. It was just coming out of his pores. Right. Yeah. And so I knew I wanted that, but I didn't know how. So when he said, I want one thing from you, I was already in yes mode before he said the rest. Little did I know what that really was going to become later on, and the extent, and that when the time came, which we're in right now, that we were going to strike such a chord with so many people, which we're doing by teaching something that flat out is not being taught today.
That's a setup, and I'm not going to take it.
Oh, God.
No, we'll go.
Sure. I thought you were that close. I mean, you were right there.
I was like, he wants me to ask him the logical next questions, but I'm not going to.
And I was even going to go,
So this is the question I have for you. Before you tell me what nobody else is teaching today.
Yes.
Right. And that we all need to know.
Yep.
When did you realize from your mentor that the path that he was on was different from the path you thought he was on?
Well, he was always on the path that he was at the point in his life where, for the most part, he had made it. The story we met and the way we met was, again, it's almost a learning lesson for your listeners as well. Again, I was still at that same place as a janitor, where I cleaned June's house, and we got a phone call late at night. Only the boss and I were there. And he said, this guy's in from Detroit, and he's opening a diamond store, and he wants to see some carpeting. He's leaving in the morning. Someone's got to show him tonight. I said, okay. And Jerry, my boss, he says, can you go and show him some carpeting? I said, Jerry, I don't know anything about carpeting, and I've already punched out, which back then you felt like punching out. When you punched out, it was, literal. And I said, I'm done for the day. I'm going home. He goes, no. He said, I have to stay here. You got to go. I said, no, Jerry, I'm not going. I said no again. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you any Saturday off you want. Now, for a janitor, that's a big chip because businesses are closed Saturday, we're cleaning, right? So I repeat it back, any Saturday? And he said, yes, any Saturday. I said, okay, so here I am, Jess, here's the stage. I'm begrudging, mentally, emotionally, physically, dragging in every way you could imagine. I went and punched back in, and I'm going to meet the man that will change the trajectory of my life forever. So I share with your listeners, be aware and be discerning of the most significant events that will happen in your life that at that moment will seem so insignificant. Right. And here I was, and I went to meet this man, and we immediately, I could tell we both felt like we knew each other before. There was an instant rapport. Yeah. He offered me a job, and I started working for him. Uh-huh. And then he started mentoring me, and that led to other things in my life.
So you never got the Saturday off?
I did. I did. For sure. And it was a whopper too. It was like some holiday, and all the guys were begrudging. And I said, that's right. I'm off on Saturday because Jerry owes me. And so, and it was great. I just loved it. And, but being a janitor was, I had these two great events, one with June Martino. And I learned, Jess, that people really could live like that and not be jerks. They, they didn't have to be evil, I'm taking everything from everyone, screw the world kind of people. She was really a genuine, nice person.
Are you trying to lead me back to this question?
No.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking, yes, I know. I was like, hang on. You didn't even let me ask the question. I was ready to ask the question now. And
okay.
Okay. Everybody who's listening, you have to understand that EA does what I do. And he's led people through conversations. He's a great interviewer. He knows how to tell a story, as you can see. And so all of these things coming together, I'm like, wait a second, I'm not ready. He's taking all my cues. And now you know why. So you're going to get to see a little bit of this dialogue back and forth because we're helping each other make this fun and memorable. Okay, EA, what is the thing? I need to ask the question. That's what it comes down to. What is the thing nobody's teaching us today that we really need to know?
You know, you were saying all those nice things about me, and I was wondering if you could be more detailed. No, anyway. So hey,
I don't want to. You grew up where I learned to talk. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. Oh, she's saying all these nice things, but none of it's as long as my last name. Anyway, so so here's the thing that no one is teaching. Yeah. And I'll ask it by way of a question to your listeners to drive the point home. Think about all the fires you stomp out every day. Think about the times during the day when your stress level spikes straight through the roof. Think about the times during the day where you just had a conversation with someone. You don't even remember what the conversation was, other than the fact that you now have no energy left. They just took it all from you. All those three scenarios, Jess, have one thing in common. They have a name attached to them. And what we teach people, and I emphasize the following: we love everybody. I'll say that again a totally different way. We love everybody. I guess that was the same way. Anyway, so here's the point. We love everybody. But what we teach at Givers University is how to separate and discern from the person who we love from their deeds, which we may not love. And from that, we teach people, and we've sifted it all the way down so that it's not broad swaths of innocuous information that simply says, oh, that sounded really good. Now what do I do with that? But we've actually sifted all the way down to the things. These are the deeds you watch for. And when you see them doing these certain things, then you can begin to discern, should I bring them closer into my life as a part of my givers community, or should I begin discerning and respectfully distance myself from them, or begin not nasty, but respectfully distancing myself from them, because they're going to bring with them the 3 Ds of takers, which are defeatism, disruption, and destruction. And I'm about ready to become collateral damage, because they're going to bring it in my life. My productivity is going down because I'm stomping out fires.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Jess. Everyone is teaching self-improvement. I'm for it. I'm a self-improvement geek. I know you are already, and many of your listeners are. But no one's teaching, Jess, how about the other guy? What if he's not doing it right?
Yeah.
Should I pull them in closer and let them impact my life in all these negative ways, because no one taught me what to look for up front? So as an example,
I can, you only have one. No, I'm kidding. Because I know it goes on and on. I'm like, where have you been all my life? Because that discerning part is a wisdom that I have been very slow to learn and have accidentally invited. You had 3 Ds. I'm probably going to get 2 of them. The defeated piece and a defensive piece. And I'm going to put in drama, but you said something different. What was your third one? What were they?
It was defeatism.
Yep.
Disruption, because they disrupt everything you're doing. And they ultimately bring with them the seeds of their own destruction.
Yes.
And so there's the 3 Ds. And givers bring with, that's what we call the 3 Ws: wisdom, wealth, and wellness. And those people we want around us. We want to build a giver community. So here's the example. If right now you had itchy eyes and a runny nose, I could probably guess that you have a cold. Now, and I'm not able to see the cold, but what I can see is the symptoms. Now, what we teach people is we teach them the symptoms. Here's the deeds, the specific things. We're going to give your listeners a genuine checklist that they're going to be able to look at that says, when you see someone doing these things, these specific deeds, you should start paying attention and discerning. Before I became a commercial pilot, just to fly my own planes, my instructor, one of the very first things he said, when we're flying, look out the window. And he said, when you see a plane that's this big, you don't want him to get this big right away. He said, because he's coming straight at you at a closer rate that could be 600 miles an hour by now. He said, so you want the plane to be here, and then as time goes on this way. So you have plenty of time to navigate out of the way so you don't get hit.
Oof.
And what we
Yes.
teach people, Jess, is look at the plane when it's at a distance. Discern. And as we say, givers earn 3 times more because givers discern 3 times more, because it's a skill set not being taught. How do you discern who you should have in your life and who you shouldn't? How do you discern who you should be working and with and who you shouldn't? Because everything today's in the mirror. And we're all saying business is open and closing overnight. Products being literally antiquated overnight. What do we have left, Jess? Our relationships. And no one's teaching us how to discern those relationships that can enhance our productivity, lower our stress levels, and no one's being taught what to look for.
Right. You know, what's interesting is I know that every single time, I'm going to use the word burned. It hasn't always been that way, but in general, there's some sort of setback and or burned feeling or disappointment feeling, right? There's that. Look at right here on my desk. I got this wonderful feeling wheel. All the ones that are all in here. The reds and the oranges and the almost purples, right? Those feelings come with a lot of when things are unexpected and you're like, well, how did I end up here? Kind of like if the plane was really big. And so I want to know from you, when did you learn from your mentor about the first concept of discernment? And what was the first lesson or the first thing that you were taught from your mentor about discernment?
Well, it actually is, he was teaching me while my 3 major temporary defeats happened in life. And it was the temporary defeats that each caused me a deeper and more detailed explanation and understanding of what discernment was. So it was a temporary defeat.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, we could put like 4 straws in that cup. It is nothing.
Actually, it's more than
amazing, that coffee cup.
It is
It's
so big.
It's
the only thing that is not bigger.
It's a kegger of coffee.
Right? I know.
Oh,
I know. It's my mate tea.
Yeah.
You like, yeah. My Colorado cup is the only thing that's not bigger and that is bigger outside of Texas.
That is absolutely just flat out impressive. There's no other word for it. It's just a yes.
I really hope it never breaks.
Cup, that's the one I'd want to be. That's perfect and big and it's aggressive. And you know what that coffee cup is? It's bold business. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, Givers University, this is it.
We will return to Uncharted in a few moments. How you work on your business often means the difference between failure and success. When you commit to developing skills, increasing capacity for the unknown, and prioritizing your mission, you're taking action towards success. Find out more about how to fast-track your business at fasttrackyourbusinesstoday.com. Let's get back to Jess.
We all have to have those things we fall back on. That's for sure. Yeah.
And so it was to your question.
Yeah.
Each one of that's one of the things my business mentor taught me. He said, don't use the word failure. He says, it sounds too eternal. And in our minds, it has an eternal feeling. He said, use the word temporary defeat. He said, because temporary defeat, he said, when you get tackled, you're going to stand up and realize you just got a first down and you're still in the game. He said, so view things as temporary defeats, reframe them in your mind. He said, because of the following. Every adversity, not some, every adversity carries with them the seed of an equal or greater benefit. It's up to us to find what those benefits are. And he taught me as a part of this discernment, he said, when you're around givers and you want to understand givers, he said, this is the way this works. When you're a giver, people will take advantage of you. Expect it. They're going to take advantage of you. But you are never diminished because they did. He said, that's the part everyone misses. When you're a giver, people will take advantage of you, but you're never diminished because they did. They lost you. They lost the relationship. And here's the other part, because you gave, you will get that back from another source, another person, another event. So it's true that givers gain and takers do lose. And as a result of that, we have statistically proven, Jess, that about 20% of the population are givers. You put them in any situation, and in a short period of time, they're going to start contributing, giving, investing, helping. They're wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
By contrast, the other Grand Canyon side are the takers. And those are people that in any situation in a short period of time, they will start crafting a way to take from it morally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. That's what they do. Now, 20 and 20, that's 40. The 60% in the middle, we call them fencers. And the reason why is they sit on the fence. They act like givers when they're with givers. They act like takers when they were takers. They can be great relationships, but we need to manage those. So we teach, how do you discern that? At Givers University, we have basically, the whole university is based on a course called Give to Be Great. And the first book and course is called The Giver's Mindset, came about because of my first major defeat in life, temporary defeat. The second one's called The Giver's Lifestyle, where we actually get into the 30 habits of givers. These are the 30 habits you'll see givers do over and over and over again. And these are the 30 habits of takers. You'll see them do over and over again, and it'll help you discern. We even have it in a genuine checklist form, right? Mm-hmm. And then the third is called Giver's Lifelong Learning, where we get into the 6 virtual prisons that people are walking around in that they don't even know they're walking around in. So we've sifted all of this down out of the broad, innocuous swaths of information that sound good and made it, here's the how-tos. When you can no longer say, how do I do it? Now we're at the information. And these are the deeds we should be looking that will teach us how to discern, how to make that decision and discern the relationships we should have, business, social, friends, and even in our families. And I can share with you one of the best things your listeners can do that, quite candidly, Jess, you're going to love what I say next. If they have someone in their life which they realize, and let's say it's a family member, right? And they're just taking too much. I mean, family members, it happens, right? We love them. Mm-hmm. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but you want to broach a subject and say, hey, you know, you're on a little bit on the taking side, a little bit heavy here, right? One of the best things they could do is share a podcast called Bold Business with them. Here's why. A third party can have a huge impact on someone's life, where sometimes if we're too close, it can come across, we're offending them, we're hurting their feelings and all this kind of stuff. But if you have a third party something, and all they have to do, Jess, is just say, hey, you know what? I heard this great podcast and it was very thought-provoking. And they really were sharing some things that, you know, really need to be talked about today and Aaron talked about. I really liked it. Do me a favor, listen to this podcast and give me your opinion on it. It's called Bold Business. Just that simple. And now who knows, their mind may open up and the person who shared it with them might have one less fire in their life they're stomping out because they shared Bold Business with them.
And it comes from a place of care, and it comes from a place of love, which is exactly, actually, EA, what you and I have been talking about. We've been talking about the importance of what success entails, and that this is it. These relationships are the things that we can leverage into. Not only that, what I'm taking away, especially with the wise, wealth, and wellness. No, wisdom. It was wisdom, wealth, and wellness. The 3 W's of people that are these givers. And the question, I'm going to restate the question. The question is, how much? I'm going to put this into a slightly different question. How much does our stress spike in a day? How much are we putting out of our time are we using to put out fires? How much of our energy is left over at the end of the day? And if we don't like those answers, if we think that's a little too high, this is where what EA is talking about becomes incredibly important. And then the key one, I wasn't going to repeat this, but I'm like, but this is like the key takeaway is find, and I'm not even going to use our podcast, even though I think you should, because what EA is sharing is incredibly important. It could be any resource. It could be any resource that you think is important to the moment, and do it carefully and don't do it often. The point is, I think, right, EA, it's to do it out of care, not badgering.
Oh, there's a big difference.
Don't be a giver in disguise. Be a giver.
That's right. That's right. And one of the things we're going to do, complements your podcast, is we actually have a quiz that is a 7-question quiz for people to take. And at the end of it, not only they get a great assessment, it literally takes 5 minutes or less. And it's called what is your givers and takers awareness IQ? And it's 7 simple questions, 5, and they get a great assessment on how they're doing it, looking at and assessing others.
Mm-hmm.
But right away, we give them the 6 arrows
Great.
that takers shoot. And whenever people look at these, they go, oh, this is great stuff. You know, it's like when you're getting ready to buy a green car, you never realize how many green cars are on the road before. It's the same thing. They look at this and they go, oh, this is great stuff. These are the 6 arrows that takers shoot at givers all the time. But unless you realize the arrows are being shot, you don't realize why you're walking around bleeding all day. And what happens is people in work and in these environments, they don't have the skill set. They haven't been taught, because this can be taught. Discernment can be taught. And it's not just education, it's wisdom. I want to let you know, Jess, I've met a lot of educated idiots in my life.
Me too.
Educated idiots, because wisdom is knowing what to do and when to do it. And just because they have book knowledge doesn't mean they're wise.
That's
and,
right.
You know, and I've had a lot of educated idiots that have created more problems than anything else. So we want to give them these 6 arrows so that they can use it as a checklist. A couple days later, we're going to give them 25 do's in 2 pages that they can download, carry with them as literally a life checklist, and say, you know, these are things that are going to help me discern and think about who are the wisdom, wealth, and wellness people I want to pull into my life that will help increase my productivity, reduce my stress, and energize me because I'm energizing them. And what are the things I should be watching to begin discerning and respectfully, and like you said, not badgering, respectfully distancing ourselves so that we're not collateral damage just because they brought everything with them.
Yeah. Where do they go to do this?
It's quiz. Real simple. They go to a www. Everyone says www. Giversuniversity.info. INFO. Givers plural. University.info. INFO. And when they go there, they're actually on the first question already. It's that page. Multiple choice. 7 questions total. Probably 4 to 5 minutes at the most to go through it, and they'll get an assessment on how they're doing. There's different assessments based on their answers. But the most important thing we do, Jess, is we want to give them compliments of your podcast, genuine, usable things that they can use immediately in their life, that their life will get better. And when they look at it, they go, oh, this stuff is great. And that's the chord we've struck. I can tell you, I do this every single day, and I'm having the time of my life being able to share with people and having their eyes brighten up, because I could see they're getting some hope back, because they feel like they're surrounded with this cloud and they don't know what to do about it.
And we are going to continue our conversation in just a moment. The Fast Track Your Business people that are out there, don't forget, this is only the first part of the interview. So the entire interview is in your True North dashboard. So pull this up in your private feed, watch or listen, or even read right from your access point. Okay, by the way, so now I have to tell you what we're talking about here is also for us. How we work on our business often means the difference between failure and success. How we work on us means the difference between failure and success. How we navigate what EA has been telling us about is the difference between our failure and our success. So intentionally keep moving forward. Intentionally take the right direction for you, authentically, pragmatically, and resiliently. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your business.
You've been listening to Uncharted. Fast Track Your Business subscribers receive access to a vast set of resources, including extended conversations to this and other Uncharted episodes. Visit fasttrackyourbusinesstoday.com. Your preparedness and the right perspective is absolutely necessary when you find yourself somewhere uncharted. Special thanks to the Scott Treatment for production assistance.